Okay, for the second time, I'm having to work on my headlights. And I'm just going to try to make this a brief video by showing you where things are and not actually showing you me taking them off necessarily. But this is the inside of the front fender, front tire. This is the nose of the car, the bumper. There are 3 T15 Torx head screws each side. Then there are, along the front of the nose, there are 10 visible 7mm screws holding the front on, 5 on each side, and then there are these things that go. This is the other side. These bumpers that go here are wind deflectors or whatever they are. I don't know what they're called, but it's supposed to have 3 screws in each one, here, here, and here. You can kind of flex the thing back. It's a soft rubber. You can flex it back to get your tool in there. So you can use a long screwdriver. Actually, all of those are 7mm hex nuts, hex screws. And then that pretty much from the bottom does the nose, but then there are 4, and I believe these are 10mm. This has to come off as well. So those 4 10mm things are the next things that will go. I'll get the gun and do those. So with those 4 10mm, that whole panel comes right down with those 4 10mm screws removed. And I believe it's time to go back up to the top. Now, I've already done some work on the top, and I will show you as I have done the 3 T15 screws in there. So I'm going to let the car down, show you what I've already done up top, and I think that's all the fasteners that are holding the bumper on. There's a couple clips that have to be released first, though. I was reviewing the clips and before joining them into one long video, and I decided that I need to change the sequence of some things, mainly the next clip or 2 that talk about taking off 5 bolts from the bottom of the bumper that attach the grill to the underside of the car. And I didn't take those off before I took these on both sides off. And I think in the long run, taking those off first would have given me more play in the bumper, and I would have had more room to work, and it would have made it easier to get these joints separated. So I am going to include that clip next, and then I'll repeat that same clip where I did it, and you'll see at that point that when I did it, I had everything loosened up top. I thought I had everything loosened under the bottom, and I was still having trouble taking the bumper cover off. So The next time I do this, if I refer to this video, I want to have this in place that I remove those 5 bolts before I go trying to take these off, because it'll allow more movement of the bumper and it'll make it easier, I think, to get those off. So like I said, the following clip isn't in the sequence that I did it. I will play it next, and then I will repeat it where I did it, where I think it made it a little bit harder. So I just wanted to make that clear that those bolts should be removed first. So there's 5 more bolts under here that are holding the, turns out it's the grill. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 5 of those holding it on yet in the front. This piece stays on. This piece comes off with the bumper. So I'll take those off and the bumper should be off. Okay, on these side panels, there's holes there you can see. And if I can get some light in there, maybe we can see the hooks that they hook on. You can just barely see them. But those hooks are in there in such a way that the way you remove this is to pull up on it and out. And it comes out fairly easy with a scary bang when it releases. To get the wire that goes to the side marker light, I've released 3 tabs there. You can see them here. Gotta pull that. Can't point and well, actually you can see the tab. I've already got it at, and I'll pull it out further to show you what you've got to do. Okay, this tab has got to be squeezed in towards the back of the fender, or back of the car. Then the middle tab has to be squeezed in towards the front of the car, and the back tab, or the bottom tab, has to be squeezed towards the back of the car, and then this side marker pops out. And it's easier to do it that way because there's a lock on this connector that needs to be released, and I probably can't do it with one hand, but it's basically you pull up on that, I think, and then there, it's unlocked, and then you can unplug it. And you could just unplug this and leave the side marker in, but it's a little easier to see the tab to release the connector if you've got it out here. You can do it easier on the driver's side because that tab faces towards the back of the car, but on the passenger side that tab faces the front of the car, so you're going blind. If you can feel it and release it and do it, that's fine. You can do that. But the last time I did this, I did it that way, and somehow in the process of doing the whole job, one of these tabs that holds the side marker on the passenger side broke off. So I would recommend taking it out and working with 2 hands and relieving that tab, or open the tab and then take the connector off. I'm going to do that off camera since I can't do it with one hand. And I'll do the front side, or the passenger side, and I'll be back to show you what I did under the hood. Okay, I lied to you a little bit. It is the driver's side where the tab to unlock that wire is facing the front of the car, and you can't see it. On the passenger side, I could see it and release it, but I still find it, I think, a little bit easier to work with those tabs on the marker lights, and I did them from the top down. So worked with that one first, the one in the middle, the one at the bottom. And when you release each one, once you release it, you can pull it out a little bit and it'll stay out, because this spring action on this tab keeps it from going back in. As long as you don't push it in, it pushes in real easy. Then you can work on the second one, and then you can work on the third one. Comes out pretty easy. So now I'm going to open up the hood and show you what I've already done up top. Okay, I just thought I was showing you how I was getting under here, but I didn't have the camera rolling. So I pushed this upholstery tool under here and pried up a little bit, and it came pretty well. Let me see if I can show you on the other side. Basically, the black part I'm going above is metal, and the other part is the front bumper. So if you can see right here, there's a little tab that's in there. I'm going to try to get something. I'm going to have to put the camera down, but I'm going to push in on that tab and pry up with this, and I'll let you know how it works. Okay, that worked. Wasn't easy to do, but I've got the front of that released. Now the issue is getting these right here released. Okay, that side is released. As you can see, there's two slots there that tabs go into. I put a sweatshirt on the headlight. Got this wide, yeah, that's the wide one. This wide upholstery tool down under it, pried, and it came off fairly easy. Okay, the other side is released. I'm not gonna lie, that's a nervous time for me. I ended up raising this up right here and slipping this underneath, protecting it with a sweatshirt and prying up on that. So now that's released. I think I need to take the other plastic tab out on the other side. I think it's caught up in this hole, so I think I need to take that completely out. So taking that tab off did help, because, well, I didn't take it all the way out, but I raised it up further and it came out of the hole, and that makes the entire front of the bumper loose. From the top. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to lower the hood and raise it up to a more comfortable working position for myself and see if I can get that off of the bottom. Okay, that did it. Those 5 screws attached the bumper back there. There's There's 5. Hard to see. There's 5 places. The last one, the metal clip fell off. I have it over on the bench. I'll put it back on. But so it's off. Now I'll have to lower the car again and get to where I can work on the actual headlights. Okay, once you get the bumper off, there's 3 screws that hold the headlight in. One that goes in from the top down here, one that goes in from the front here, they're 7mm, one that goes in from the top here, 7mm wrench. There's also a little bracket here that's held on with 2 7mm screws. That gets in the way of getting the headlight out. So you do yourself a favor, just take that out. It's 2 screws, pretty easy to get to. I'll have to double check on the other side to make sure yeah, I thought so. There's a curved end of that bracket. It goes up. So I've taken the driver's side light out, and the situation here is that the passenger side high beam works, the driver's side doesn't. So what I'm going to do, since it's only disconnecting this plug and 5 screws counting this bracket, I'm going to take this one out, put it on the driver's side, and see if that high beam works on the driver's side. I had hit a deer with this car, or actually he ran into me, but that's beside the point, because he ran into the side. And since that happened, I had a blown fuse the first time I had to take this off, and I did all this work and I took it off, and I had bought the high intensity bulbs and put it in, and I found out it didn't work, and I went back and it was a blown fuse. I've already checked that the fuse is good. I even reversed it. It's a 3-pin fuse that operates both high beams, and there's a fuse in between the middle pin and each of the 2 outer pins. So I actually took that and flipped it, and it still worked only on the driver's side. So I know that that fuse is good. Or, I'm sorry, it worked on the passenger side. So I'm going to take that out. I'm going to plug it in over here and see what we get. Okay, you can't see it here. I'm holding this camera at an awkward angle, left-handed, so there's the flasher of the high beam. There's turning the high beam on, turning the high beam off. So passenger side does work on the driver's side, which now leads me to believe that the problem is somewhere in this passenger headlight assembly. So, I have the 2 original bulbs that I took out of here when I went with the high intensity ones, and they were an off-brand, and one always seemed dimmer than the other, so I wasn't entirely happy with them. And since my original problem was fixed by replacing the fuse, I am going to try that bulb in this headlight. You know, the original. Maybe it was good. Maybe I'll blow the fuse because maybe the bulb shorted out and blew the fuse. Maybe the fuse blew when the deer hit it. Maybe as they were repairing the car, they blew the fuse. I don't know why it happened, but once I replaced it and changed the headlights, everything was good for a while. So I'm going to find those bulbs and try sticking one of them in there. There is a bit of a black mark on that light bulb, so it may just be burned out. Okay, the original bulb is back in. What do you know? I have a high beam. Now, I don't know if that was the left or right bulb in the original. And if you can see on the wall here, you can see the different color of the other light. So I need to make them both the same. So I'll have to change the bulb in the passenger side and see if that works, because that could have been the bulb that was on the driver's side in the first place. So I watched two videos this morning. One of them was my last one, and one of them was from someone else. And that person cautioned to remember to put this cap back on before you put the light back in. Well, I forgot, but I guess fortunately that was only a test, so now I have to take that. It's not entirely in the place it's supposed to be in, but I have to take it all the way out and put the cap back on again. So remember that if you're doing this job. Okay, another thing that other video pointed out that I clearly didn't do last time, because I had no problem taking the other driver's side one off. There's a little tab here and here, and you have to twist that to lock the light in place. And when I took off, this is the driver's side. When I took the driver's side off, I pulled this right out, so that wasn't locked in place. So I am going to have to take the driver's side back off. I'm sorry, this is the passenger side. I'm going to have to take the driver's side back off and lock that. So I've got the passenger side in. Here comes the test to see if I have two high beams. Sure looks like I do. So all that's left for me to do now is to button everything back up. And take the passenger or the driver's side back off and lock that bulb in place. So I'm not going to video putting it back together. There's videos out there explaining that process, but once you've got it apart, you can put it back, generally speaking, with little help. So I'm thinking it's not worth the effort to do the video, and I can get this wrapped up a lot quicker if I just cut this off now. And I hope this helps somebody. It's the best I got for now. Thanks for watching. Okay, I put that back in So I am going to do one more test before I put it back together. So it looks like we have success. I did want to mention, and that's probably why I actually showed you this last test, is that whenever you're turning that lock to lock the bulb in place, you turn it clockwise to lock it. So that's worth noting. So from here on out, it ought to go fairly smooth. It's a lot easier to put it back on once you've figured out what you had to do to take it off. Again, have a nice day and thanks for watching.